Have any questions or comments about today's program, you can give us a call at 716-878-5104.
To join Mr. Hare on today's Living for the People, dial 878-5104. That's 716-878-5104. Or go to facebook.com/91.3 WBNY and comment there. That's facebook.com/91.3 WBNY. Courtesy Breitbart.
All right, here we go. Living for the People. This is L. Nathan here. Welcome you to our broadcast, focused on providing you insight into events shaping our national and regional world and the facts behind those events and policies that are shaping our world for today and for tomorrow. Join us weekly on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. following Amy Goodman's Democracy Now! Program. And of course, our program is live, so you can call and you can join our discussion. We really hope that you will. Our number here again is 716-878-5104. That's 716-878-5104. We're also here with Norm McCarter, who is our in-studio audience of one. Welcome, Norm.
Thank you, Mr. Hare, and good morning, sir.
You know, Norm has a jacket on today. That sounds like he's signaling to us that it's cold.
It's getting cooler. It is.
It's mid-60s. That's not cold. We live in Buffalo. Mid-60s is the tropics in Buffalo.
A light sweat jacket, sir.
Light sweat. Okay. You all should see him. I think he's got a towel over. No, I'm teasing. We're also here with Willie H., who is our engineer, who understands all this electronic technology stuff, this IT stuff, is able to help us produce this program live streaming. Welcome, Willie.
Welcome, everybody, to Living for the People with L. Nathan here. Calling, guys, 716-878-5104. That's 716-878-5104.
But you know what happens is, I spent, a couple of days preparing for today's program based on the issues that were in front of us at the time. And by the time I got in the car and headed from the car to the college, new issues showed up.
Oh, yeah.
What's the new issues, Mr. Hare?
So I need to talk about this because it's something that grinds on the inside of me that makes me want to scream.
Yeah, I got something, too, I want to scream about.
Okay. So this is going to be our screaming session. We okay?
Uh-oh.
We okay, Norm?
Hey.
I know you're the citizen, but we're going to be doing the screaming right now. Right?
Yeah, we're fired up. I'm fired up.
So you know there's a United Nations summit underway on climate change, right?
Right.
And, the head of the climate change, or the head of the UN, sent out a memorandum that if you're not coming to the summit with something new that you were going to do, or something that you were going to enforce that you had not been enforcing, or putting more money on the table to help countries that don't know how to do climate change to do it, if you're not doing that, don't bother to come. So they giving, so the advocates, you know who the advocates are, the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez type people, the Bernie Sanders type people, but also the ones that are out there in the audience, the ralliers with the protest signs and, we shall overcome climate change, and I get all of that.
Right.
I'm just as desirous.
Me too.
For a reduction in the path that we're on, increasing global warming, than any of
right.
you.
Me too.
If not more of you. Okay?
Me too, Mr. Hare.
I am all the way in on that.
Yeah.
But for the presidential race, that's a different policy issue. That's not an issue of am I for or am I against policy change? That's an issue of am I for or am I against Donald Trump or Joe Biden?
Right.
Now, I want you to be clear in your own mind, because sometimes, you get to rallying around each other, and slapping dap with each other and hugging each other and, doing the flower children stuff, with each other. And I get that, it feels real good. But that's not what rolls the rock down the road, okay? The thing that rolls the rock down the road is who is really going to have a chance to be nominated to be the president of the United States in 2024's primary season. There's only two people that have a reasonable chance to be able to be that person. The Democrats are going to nominate Joe Biden, and the Republicans, by a margin of 57% to whatever's left in the Republican Party, is going to nominate Donald Trump. Period.
Right. Absolutely.
So your choices, your policy choices, is not are you for or against, reducing climate change. Your policy choice in this frame of reference is, are you for or against President Biden or former President Donald Trump?
Now, Mr. Hare, can I interject?
Sure.
Because I'm with you. Absolutely, I'm with you there. I think people don't understand. Hold up. You got to be a smooth transition between, and I get it. We do need to go to, that's whatever's good for us in the earth. But it's got to be a smooth transition. And you can't kick out Biden, because if you kick out Biden, then Trump is the winner, like you just said. It's between Trump and Biden. Go ahead, Norm.
Okay, I'd also just like to make a quick interjection. Just before the show, I'm listening to Democracy Now! And listen, to Amy do her thing, and then she's got people that are speaking. I don't believe that the country is aware of the initiatives that Biden has tried to put in place for.
And Norm, ask yourself, how is it possible that the country's media, the multi-$100 billion a year media, how in the world could they not know what Biden has done in comparison to what Trump has done?
It's crazy. And my little small interjection is this. Biden has done so much that's just getting left out. The media is so powerful today, and they're omitting him altogether, saying that he's done. Mr. Hare, I wish, and when you get the time, maybe you could run down some of the positives that he's done, even with the climate and global warming.
Norm is reading my notes that I wrote down between the time I left the house.
But I'm feeling this because it's sitting close.
And now, let me add something else to it before you go on further, Mr. Hare. Now, what's happening in my community, I'm hearing a lot of this, with the migrant workers, with the foreigners being in the country. For my people, which is peeing me off, is that, Trump is going to get rid of all this migrant. They're focused on the migrant workers. They're being bamboozled once again. We got to get Trump because he'll get rid of the migrants and the foreigners. They don't understand Trump is not for you.
Now you just hit another issue that I want to tackle from a different perspective.
Oh, my Lord.
But I want you
our people.
I want you to feel
our people,
especially because you put the our people stuff in here.
Oh my God!
So I want to speak from an our people perspective.
Okay.
If what you claim is the reason why we have significant crime going on in my people's communities, breaking and enterings, car thieves, thefts, molesting people, bothering people, gang stuff, and so on. The reason why we have all of that stuff, according to you advocates, is because, these people need jobs. They need jobs. They had jobs. They wouldn't be doing all of this stuff. Okay. So if the reason why you need a job is because a job will earn you money, and you can use the money to pay for the things that you're trying to rob people for right now.
Right, okay.
If that's what the job is supposed to be for, let's look at that axis.
Okay.
If there's 3 or 4 million illegal immigrants coming into the country, maybe 5 or 6 million coming into the country, hanging around the country, taking jobs, earning money, and sending the money back to Mexico or Ecuador or wherever they came from, if that's the issue, why is that the issue? Why aren't you going to the Clinton farms and saying, give me the $10, $12 an hour and I'll pick your lettuce.
No.
I'll pick your peaches.
Well, not only that, Mr. Hare, those foreigners are allowing us to have jobs, better jobs. Because of those foreigners, I know a lot of people that are now working, making a decent pay. Our people.
But I just want you to feel this, okay?
Okay.
There are 100,000+ African people that live physically in the city of Buffalo. Somewhere around 107 or so thousand African people.
Okay.
Let's assume that 25% of them are people under 18 and 25% are people older than 65. Let's not count them in the workforce at all.
Okay.
That means half of that 100,000 people, 50,000 people, are in the workforce. Now, if we have an unemployment rate, according to the numbers, of around 5% in the African community, that means that you have 2,500 people in the African community who are in that population workforce who are not working right now.
Okay.
Right? So where do they go to get a job? I just drove by Speedway on my way down here. I won't tell you which one because I don't want Speedway to get letters from you or whatnot. But I drove by Speedway this morning, big sign, we're hiring.
Everywhere.
I drove by, I won't go through all of the places. I drove by easily 23, 24 places on my way into the studio today. And almost every one of them had signs up saying that we're hiring.
Dishwashers are making $20 an hour.
Right.
I get jobs alert on my phone.
Now there are some, that Norm don't like, that only had signs up for $12 an hour. Norm said don't work for them, make them pay more.
You don't have to though.
But most of them were $17, $20. You can drive a school bus. Now, I'm not sure how much skill you have to drive a school bus. I learned how to drive one in one day.
Not much.
Right? It's not that hard to learn how to drive a school bus. They're paying people $22 to $27 an hour to drive a school bus.
Yeah.
Why are you out here banging on the streets, trying to move some crystalline rocks of whatever you call, crack cocaine? Why are you running around here going hand-to-hand combat in the street to do that when you could just walk down the street a half a mile or a mile and work for McDonald's and work for Speedway and
even McDonald's are paying decent.
Exactly.
Well, right now, Mr. Hare, as you've taught us, right now it looks as if we're about 3.6 unemployment rate.
Right.
At this point,
or 3.8, something like that.
We didn't went up a little bit in a month or two, but with that being where we are. This is probably the easiest time, or it's super easy to just go get a job.
Best time.
You know what I mean?
Especially if you're a low skilled person.
Yeah, but that's if you want to work. See, that's what we're talking about.
There's a skill to working.
Yeah.
You have to get out of the bed, wash up, put a little deodorant on.
Right.
Change your socks, change your underwear. So if you have an accident, nobody gets to see you with dirty underwear on. You know what your mother taught you. Always have clean underwear.
Gotta have clean jerseys. Gotta have clean jerseys.
And she gave you a script. She told you to have clean underwear, and she gave you a script on why you had to do it, right? But the point is, there's a skill to just being able to work. You have to be able to get up, get yourself ready, go, be on time, figure out what the employer wants you to do, learn how to do it, and so on. Now, low-skilled jobs are jobs you can generally learn in a day or an hour.
Yeah.
Right? I learned how to run a sorter machine for Marine Midland in 1968 in basically 15 or 16 minutes. I was not only learn how to do it, by 2 days later, I was a supervisor in that shop.
Well, Mr. Hare, we're not talking about guys like you.
Well, I'm just saying that there are a lot of jobs that don't require 6 years of education to do.
No doubt about it,
right?
sir.
You can just learn how to do these jobs.
And the other thing, let me just add to this, because this was my father's wheelhouse. My father was a welder. He worked at Buffalo Forge. But his main thing, and he always spoke about skilled trades.
Right.
Everybody don't have to go to college in order to get a great job. You can go into the skilled trades. You can learn a skilled trade, and
what does a plumber earn per hour?
Well, we talking about $40, $50 an hour at least.
And if you're like 6, 7, 8 years in experience,
yes, sir,
you're talking about $70, $80 an hour.
Man, yes, sir.
Now, in a 40-hour week, $70, right? In 40, we're talking about $2,800 a week.
Yes, sir.
And even guys, even with overtime, like overtime now, and it's easy, I think, to get overtime. You at overtime rate, I'm at $40 an hour at overtime, and it's easy to get overtime.
I'm not trying to beat up our people.
I'm not either.
That's not where I'm coming from.
Either.
Okay, where I'm coming from is if the argument that is being made is that immigrants are a problem because they're taking our jobs.
That's one of them.
My position is if they're taking our jobs, why don't you walk up to the employer and offer yourself to do one of our jobs?
That's right.
Now, you may say to me what you used to say to me in the 1960s, I ain't doing no other kind of work. That's slave work. I don't do that no more. I'm better than that. You unemployed. You've been unemployed for 7,463 years, and you're telling me what you can't do, what you won't do because you're too good for that,
Well,
right?
another way too even if you don't want to work for somebody, when I wasn't working, I was able to somehow rent a vehicle. There's DoorDash and other ways to make money.
I want to just stop us real quick, but Willie he's an advocate for going out and getting it because that's what he does. He's doing it today and has always done it since I met him.
It's the gig economy, and the gig economy has been in place since the pandemic. Right.
Even with his credential and everything that he had, he does when he's not working, he's working.
He's still working.
Right.
So all I'm saying is before you start turning your nose up at immigrants because you claim that they're taking away our jobs, you need to go apply for some of our jobs and make that money yourself.
And they're doing the jobs a lot of times that we don't want to do. Also, another thing that people go, they're criminals. They're not criminals. 90% of these people are good, hardworking people. They're not criminals.
A lot more than 90%.
Right, and it's a lot more. I'm just trying to be.
I know you're trying to be polite, but their crime rate is lower than the crime rate of Americans.
Absolutely.
They commit fewer crimes per 100 people than the Americans
They're
commit.
Decent people, and a lot of them are they can speak several languages. They hardworking.
So I want to get back to the climate change thing, though, because that's what really was grinding on me.
Okay.
Yeah. I hear this woman from our community.
Our community, yeah.
She's, they got her up in the front because they always put you up in the front so that you look like the person that's making these absurd statements, not the people that really are the authors of those statements, right? But that's another story. She's up there and she's saying, and Joe Biden, he's a criminal. He's the reason why we have climate destruction. Joe Biden could solve this problem today. He could snap his fingers and say, do this, and they would have to reduce, gas emissions and burning, oil and burning gasolines and burning, natural gas. They'd have to do it right now. Today they'd have to do it.
Hey, Mr. Harrell, just one thing real quick.
I just want you to know she was lying through her teeth.
The only thing I heard as she was speaking is she was saying that President Biden was against climate change.
Exactly.
That's not true. That's exactly what she was saying.
The reason why I'm harping on this, I mean, I'm not into politics because I'm just for my Democrats or just for my Republicans. It's not about that. I'm into just trying to help us be focused on truth.
Right.
You can make good decisions if you know what right and wrong is. Whatever your party is, you'll make better decisions if you know the distinction between what is right and what's not right. Now, let's take a quick look at what I messed it. Yeah, I went to a website that talked about the distinction between Biden and Trump. Now, I talk about Biden and Trump because this is not about Biden or some other people that you got up to bat that want to be president of the United States. You haven't heard a single person other than Joe Biden in the Democratic Party say that they're up to bat. They want to take that run. They're hiding behind Joe Biden. So this website talked about what have been Biden's positions versus Trump's positions on things that relate to this climate crisis. So first, the Keystone Pipeline. This article was written, by the way, in 2020. So this is not an argument that people were making based on the politics of today. This is an analysis that was done by people that were looking at this issue in the mid-2020. He says Donald Trump favors the Keystone XL and Dakota Access pipelines. Joe Biden's promise to stop the Keystone XL pipeline. Joe Biden, that was in 2020. This is 2023. Guess what happened with the Keystone pipeline? It's been stopped. So Joe Biden kept that promise.
All
Have
right,
you heard a
all
word in the summit about Joe Biden kept that promise?
No.
Not a word, right?
No.
Even though the Republicans were trying to murder people to keep the Keystone pipeline going. Trump supports the unobstructed growth of the fossil fuel industry. He's for increasing the use of gasoline, the use of natural gas, the use of coal, and so on. He wants to continue to grow that piece of the economy.
Wow.
Joe Biden favors ending fossil fuel subsidies. And in the 2.5 years that Joe Biden has been president, he's been reducing fossil fuel subsidies. Now, you have to understand, you can't just stop doing things.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr.
Right?
Hare. Thank
because
you.
some things exist because people pass laws to bring those things into existence.
Right.
You can't undo the law, by just snapping your fingers, and talking stuff. You have to go back to Congress to change the law.
Right.
How are you going to get a law changed in Congress when all laws have to begin in the House of Representatives? It's controlled by the Republicans, and the Republicans will not even bring a bill talking about climate change, stopping the Keystone Pipeline, things like that. Won't even allow that bill to get to the floor for a vote in the House, let alone a vote in the Senate,
right.
let alone being signed off by the president. The president doesn't have that power. The president is not the king. I know that y'all let the media call President Obama a king. They were lying, and the people that are lying now about Joe Biden as if he's the king, they're lying. And if you're one of the ones acting like Joe Biden is the king, you're lying, okay? I'm sorry. I just need to get this off my chest. Go ahead, Norm.
This was just something that I just wish we could get out there to be seen. Now, when you have and when we vote, and when we vote in the House, everything is like we know it's a secret vote. We know what the Republicans are going to say. We know, but I wish everything could be shown. You know what I mean? So that the public would know who's voting.
In reality, for most of those votes, whether they take the vote in public or not, most of those votes are on the public record. So you could actually go online and type in that decision, and you'll find out not only what the decision was, but you'll find out who voted yes and who voted no.
But most people are not going to do that.
People just don't do it. That's why they do it like that, because they know you're not going to take the extra steps.
Because when you say that you're going to do something, and who would put a bill and bring a bill up, you know what I mean? You want to know who's doing that, because our future, our congressmen of today.
I just want you to know. I just want you to be clear on this, since you're certain about this. Not only do they have to tell you how they voted, they owe it to you to tell you how they voted, because you're paying their salary.
This is exactly.
It would be different if they were manufacturing orange baseballs and they were getting paid from the fees on the orange baseballs, but that's not what's going on. You're hiring these people with your money.
Yeah.
They have to tell you what they're doing with your money.
I got you.
Right.
But this is the thing, Mr. Hare. This is the thing that I'm looking at. Our congressmen of today are our senators of tomorrow, who might be our presidents in the future. We need to know the background, the way that they've been voting, where they, where they're coming from, and what they're
right. So that's the research that we need to know it. But who's gonna do the research?
Right.
It has to be us.
That's the key.
We have to go. I mean, we're the advocates. If you're in the advocate community, you have to do the actual work to go online and say, what happened with this bill? What happened with this bill? Mm-hmm. Who voted yes? Who voted no? Who voted in abstention?
Yeah.
That has to be done by us. We can't trust them to do it, right? If they were going to do it, they'd be doing it right now.
Because they're going to twist it almost and make it seem, especially when the public is concerned, that that the Democrats somehow had something to do with a negative bill. That, the GOP is they pretty smooth the way that they do things, man.
And they have a media machine. The Democrats have this sort of we're all progressives at one level or another, so you get different spins, but in a certain direction from the Democrats. Republicans have one message, and they get all of the media that they work with to say that one message. So you'll hear them say the same thing over and over and over again on every single, conservative, every single Republican-oriented media station. They'll say the exact same words, not just the same positions. They say the exact same words because somebody is producing scripts and they're reading the scripts. They're following what the scripts say. On methane, when Obama was president, he created regulations to reduce the amount of methane being produced in the atmosphere. That meant, how you handle what you fed cows so that cows produce less methane when they, do their thing. You have a lot of production operations that in the course of the operation, they end up producing methane. Obama put regulations together to reduce the amount of methane because methane is a more heat-trapping gas than carbon dioxide. Trump rolled back those regulations that Obama had put together. He used his executive authority to eliminate those regulations and bragged about it. Joe Biden says that he would not ban fracking, but he would ban new offshore drilling and new permits on public lands. Now, you would say, well, how come he doesn't ban, fracking?
Okay.
Because he has to work with the Congress. He has to work with the senators and the House of Representatives. He has to work with them to get stuff done. So if to get two things done, he has to give one thing to, these conservative, capitalist-oriented, kind of Congress people, he will often take that bet. It's better to get two things, lose one thing, than to get no thing at all.
Let me just ask this also, Mr. Hare. I think we went back. This was a little while ago. We spoke about this. Isn't there a form of fracking that they can kind of gauge and get a certain amount of hydrogen out of the fracking that would prohibit the
you wouldn't
service?
have to go so deep because they found that they can use hydrogen as a way to generate energy. Hydrogen is the most available element in the entire universe. The stars are made out of hydrogen. And so you can dig into the earth, maybe 30, 60, 80 feet and just go horizontal and you can just extract hydrogen out of the earth and it would have virtually no a negative environmental footprint.
This form of fracking in itself is in a way self-sustaining and would allow us to do this with no problems or no issues.
So the question is not whether or not you think Joe Biden is the best or the worst on climate change. The question is, why aren't you out here promoting and advocating and pushing for people mining hydrogen as opposed to mining coal?
Yes, sir.
Well, why aren't you pushing for these environmentally, sensitive ways of doing business? You can't shut down the economy. I mean,
you can't shut. You can't. Shut down
we get upset with Joe Manchin. He gets on my nerves too. I swear to God, he gets on my nerves. He really does, because he's faking. He's acting like he's one thing when he's really something else. But his issue is coal.
Yeah.
But there's only 13 or 14,000 coal miners in the state of West Virginia.
What was the name of the pipeline?
I forget the name.
You know what? But I'm going through his area.
Right. But his thing is he wasn't digging for oil. He digs for coal.
Yeah.
He owns a coal company, right? So he's making decisions that are in his favor,
his interest,
for his kind of business.
Self-interest.
Right, self-interest.
You know that.
So people get mad because Biden approved legislation in 2020, got legislation passed that created the child care tax credit, that the earned income tax credit expanded to include child care, created the Inflation Reduction Act, which has most of the climate change initiatives in that act, about $400 billion for a reduction of climate change. All those things were being done through Congress, through laws. But to get those laws passed, you had to bargain with people who didn't want those laws passed. So the bargaining chip to get Joe Manchin's vote was protect West Virginia's coal mining industry.
Yeah.
So Joe Biden did that. Now you got, whoever this lady was that was, talking about we need AOC as the president of the United States and so on. I hear all of that fervor, but she's not going to be the president of the United States. Mm-hmm. You dog Joe Biden and reduce the public's enthusiasm for him.
Right.
At the same time, Trump is running around saying, I'm the best guy for the environment. Right. I'll steal everything. I promise you, if you let me be the president, those cups you were drinking out of this morning, they'll be on my table by this afternoon.
So he's making promises, and you got people bringing up all these issues, and everything is pointing to Trump to fix the issues, which he's really not, and leaving and talking down Biden, and so everybody's like, let's get Biden out. And
it's the biggest deflection
because they don't answer the rest of the question. They don't say, well, if we kick Joe Biden to the curb, who gets on the curb besides Joe Biden?
Trump, which is the worst.
Right. So do you think you'd be better off with Trump than Biden? And I'm not saying that.
I asked that question, and they go, well.
Right, they give you muffle mouth.
Right.
Okay. Because they know that their answer is a nonsensical answer. Yeah. It's a stupid answer.
And they very, very uninformed also, Mr. Air.
How in the world can you have 46% of the people saying that they would vote for Biden and 46% of the people saying they'd vote for Donald Trump when Donald Trump is under indictment now for 91 different felony counts?
But most people believe he's innocent. I asked, well, what about the indictment?
It's not that they don't believe he's innocent. That's not what the polls say.
Right.
The polls believe that he's done something wrong.
Right.
What they feel, however, is whatever those things are, they're not as bad as the Democrats act like they are.
Right.
He's still a great president. Why is he a great president? Because he kicked those immigrants to the curb. Because he opened up the schools, for kids going back to school before the schools were ready for the kids to come back. All those kinds of things and whatnot. Let me just go through a few more of these things. On coal, Trump said that he had reduced and rolled back regulations that limit coal production. So Trump, on the record, is for more coal production, not less.
Right.
Biden says cheap renewable energy has eliminated the U.S. demand for new coal plants. What Biden is saying is if we just keep increasing the number and productivity of renewable energy, wind power, tidal power, geothermal power, hydrogen power, if we continue to keep doing that, we'll replace coal as a source of energy with fossil fuel sources of energy.
Right.
That's how we'll eliminate, the fossil fuel industry. It's not going to be done overnight, but this will, as you increase non-fossil fuel energy, you'll decrease fossil fuel energy.
Let me add to this. This really amazed me the other day. But I saw our new buses, and they're electric buses, no emissions or anything at all. Just beautiful. You don't hear them. I remember the way that they used to be back in the day. Nothing but fumes just coming from everywhere.
And kids and bus drivers standing behind these buses while the buses are farting out all of this, methane and carbon dioxide and all other kind of, chemical toxins and whatnot, right? But listen, I heard I didn't hear you, Willie, but I heard the machine putting that music out there telling me that I've been way over the time for the break. And the machine should not be talking to me. I have not given in to artificial intelligence. So the machine should not be talking to me. I just want you to understand that, right? So listen, I hope we're making some kind of sense to you all. I know that we're kind of heckle and jekyll, but I'm hoping that we're making some sense to you all in terms of how we need to look at and tackle these issues.
Mr. Hare, I bet you in a couple of years there'll be people watching this show and they'll go, wow, those guys was right on.
Yep. Well, they're going to say we were prescient. But I don't want to be prescient while we got water, up to our attics and whatnot. I want to be prescient because we've kept the ocean levels from rising.
Right.
I want to be pressing it that way.
Right.
But listen, don't go away. We will see you on the other side of the break here at Living for the People at 91.3 FM WBNY.
They are our love bugs and companions. They are our pets, our family, and they make life better. When we face unexpected challenges, so do our pets. That's why we're on a mission to support people and their pets. Whether donating a bag of kibble, sharing an Instagram post of a lost cat, or welcoming a foster pet into your home, every bit of kindness counts. Visit petsandpeopletogether.org to learn how to be a helper in your community. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
91.3 FM WBNY is proud to present Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman.
Welcome to Democracy Now!
Award-winning investigative journalism.
Is the NRA imploding?
Providing relevant analysis that makes you think.
Secret State Department documents, including evidence of U.S. war crimes.
Fact-finding reports you will not hear elsewhere. Democracy Now! Airs Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. on 91.3 FM WBNY Buffalo.
SJ1 Trey. Why so serious?
And if you're not here today, you should have been. It's the mafia. Who next? It's the mafia. We next. It's the mafia. Who next? It's the mafia. We next. It's us against it's us against the world. It's us against Buffalo against the world.
Buffalo.
It's us against the world. It's us against it's Buffalo against the world.
Pulling up in this big body like Bruce Stone. Even rich like Reed and Diggs, we move so well. You should know the drill. You should know the vibes. If it ain't red, white, and blue, baby, that's not my size. It's the mafia, the fan base that'll die for you. On Sundays, we are not cool. Any other days, we'll ride with you. We heaven sent, we're Hamlin win. 3 spoke to God and said thanks, though. Having cool years real dope, but I really miss the fan base, though.
Now turn it up, turn it up, wave. Now turn it up, turn it up, wave. Now turn it up, turn it up, wave. Now turn it up, turn it up, it's the mafia. Who next? It's the mafia. We next. It's the mafia. Who next? It's the mafia. We next. It's us against the world. It's us against Buffalo against the world.
All right, Mr. Here, I'm going to bring you in with this music. Come on in, Mr. Here.
I don't need 16 minutes of that. Okay, you could just turn that off. Okay, that's unnecessary.
Oh, this Buffalo, baby.
Yep, but do that in your Buffalo, not in my Buffalo. Okay, let's not do
Buffalo
that.
Bills, y'all.
Let's not do that ever again. Whatever that.
Well, no, I'm going to do. I got control, so I'm going to be running this every show.
No, we're not doing that. That's enough of that. Okay. So because this is a news and opinion program, so we want to stay on that. We're not a reggae or a rap music program.
What's up with that, Mr. Here?
We're just not all of that. This is we're
But I'm a hip hop.
I understand, but you're not the one that writes the program.
All right. Okay. All right.
So let me just try to get us into a few of the things that we had prepared for today's segment. I went to an article written by Ewan Palmer, Donald Trump likely doomed by a stunning development. What this development is that one of Trump's lawyers, Evan Corcoran, actually is on the record. They have notes in his handwriting where he had given Trump a warning several months before the Justice Department got a subpoena and actually did a search of Trump's property at Mar-a-Lago and found all of these boxes of classified and non-classified but presidential records that belong to the National Archives and Records Administration. Trump had said when this happened that he was completely shocked. He didn't know anything about, this a search warrant and the FBI coming to his property. He was just, taken aback by it. It was terrible, and the media all ran with it. Trump talked about how shocked he was and how stunned he was and this and that. And, they just did days and days of coverage on this.
Well, even with that, Mr. Hare, there's people like, oh, that's not a big deal. That's not a big deal. What are you talking about?
Well, the people that like Donald Trump or like crime, those people always justify whatever Donald Trump does as if, well, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
It's like, you stepped on a crack and you broke your mother's back. We're just kidding. We didn't mean anything real by any real harm. Well, these people act like this is harmless. But if you don't enforce a subpoena, then future people will not honor a subpoena. And that means you won't be able to have any government control over people that have access to information, access to documents, and so on. You wouldn't have any control over that.
Yeah.
I mean, the system of government would not work. If a judge issues an order and you just blow the judge off and say, I'm not obeying the order, and nothing happens when the judge's order is not obeyed, then the orders that the judge gives forever are not going to be obeyed.
With that being said, Mr. Hare, wondering what happened with the situation in Alabama.
Which, you mean with the congressional districts?
The districting,
right.
and
that is exactly what I'm talking about. When even though your cousin John Roberts, the senior or Chief Justice on the Supreme Court, did everything in his power to eviscerate the Voter Rights Act, half of the Voter Rights Act still exists. Part of the Voter Rights Act says that you cannot redraw district lines for congressional to redistribute populations in congressional districts.
Right.
You can't do that in a way that clearly discriminates against particular populations of people.
Okay.
Right? So that's what the Voter Rights Act says.
I understand.
Alabama did that. They got a population of something like 27% of the population are African people in a state that only has 7 congressional districts in the first place. You would think that at least 2 of those districts would either be majority black or almost majority black.
Right.
But that's not what they did. They took the black population and spread it out into other districts so that you only had one district that had a black population, costing an existing congressman to lose the seat that he had been occupying. That was done, and they were taken to court, and a federal circuit court judge said, what you're doing violates the law. You can't do that. You got to redraw these maps. They sat in it for like 4 months, and then they came back and they redrew maps that were almost the same as the maps that they had been thrown out before. And so another court heard that case, and they said, not only are these maps no good, I'm not even going to let you touch the maps. We're going to hire somebody, to redraw, these maps. But the Alabama state legislature says, even if you hire somebody else to redraw the maps, we're not going to respect those maps.
Okay.
We're still going to do the maps the way that we want to do it.
Therein lies my question.
Right.
Now, at this point, from there, you're blatantly just going against, you know what a ruling.
You are
that's been set
blatantly
down.
disobeying the law, breaking the law.
Blatantly. So this is where I'm at. I'm wondering what's going to be done from this point.
So supposedly, there's going to be another court. They're appealing the circuit court judge's decision on these maps. I presume that the circuit court judge, that the appellate court judge, also believes in the Constitution and will say these maps are no good as well. This will probably go all the way to the Supreme Court. Here's the problem. You have an election that's going to be taking place in November. Are they going to be able to get through 2 or 3 more court levels and get a decision at the Supreme Court level in the next 8 to 10 weeks?
Something got to happen, Mr. Harris. Some higher line, or some people in that area should be arrested. And I mean, because that's treasonistic as far as I'm concerned.
Well, we do have something in this country called the U.S. Marshal's Office.
Okay, there
and
we
the
go.
U.S. Marshals have the authority above everybody else's police they have the authority to come in and take you into custody for you violating federal law. Whether they will do this or not, don't know, because it seems to me that the people that say that they're the progressive, or Democratic-leaning elected officials, they seem to be afraid of the so-called base of the Republican Party. They're afraid those people are going to cut up and, shoot people and attack your family,
right.
and they may be right.
But here's my point. If they don't do something at this level right now, this right here turns into a precedent-setting thing that any state could do.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
If this appellate court decision is not respected,
yes,
then every state will do whatever they feel like doing.
Whatever they want to do.
And not just every state. Anybody who's got a case before a circuit court or an appellate court, a state Supreme Court, or the U.S. Supreme Court, if they know that if they just don't obey the court,
right,
nothing's going to happen to them, they're just going to not bother to obey the courts at all.
That's like my grandson. Now he's rough. But if I admonish him and I try to get him to do something, and I don't make sure that gets done.
If you don't follow up,
yeah,
right.
he'll do it and do whatever he wants for as long as you can't have the babies running the house.
What you're saying is that these conservatives and rednecks and nationalists and so on, you're saying they're like kids in your house, and they're just irresponsible people.
You could use that as an analogy.
Okay. I'm just trying to help.
Okay, yeah,
I'm just trying to help.
I'm just saying something got to be done. Is
right.
what I'm saying.
So anyway, this lawyer, this is the lawyer of Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
His own notes say that 7 months before the a search warrant was executed at Mar-a-Lago,
mm-hmm.
that the Justice Department had told Donald Trump, this is what we're going to have to do. If you don't bring these materials back, we're going to have to come and get them ourselves. We got to have the U.S. Marshals come and take the stuff from you. And Donald Trump blew him off. Yeah. They had many conversations over the course of the next 6 or 7 months, and Donald Trump just blew him off every time. So they brought in the Marshals, and they invaded the property, and they went and found these boxes and took the stuff away. Trump tried to make I can't believe that they would do this. They would never do this if I were a Democrat. I can't believe they would do something like this, as if he didn't know. He had known the entire time. The important thing is it goes to Trump's credibility, and it goes to Trump's intent. Since they're trying to base all of the considerations of whether or not Trump was breaking the law in the course of all of this misconduct around trying to overturn the election, they're trying to make it seem like, well, if you can't prove that Trump intended to break the law, then he really didn't break the law because you can't prove that he intended to. So what they've been doing is getting documentation of Trump's intent. So if the Justice Department tells Donald Trump formally, this is what we're going to do if you don't do X, Y, and Z, and then Trump doesn't do X, Y, and Z, they talk to him for months along the way. He still doesn't do it. So then they finally do what they say they were going to do. It's clear his intent was he wasn't going to give up these documents if he wasn't compelled to give them up. Then that was against the law.
His next thing will be he didn't understand.
Right, and so on, right? Because everything is always some justification for Donald Trump. So this is going to make his life a little bit more difficult. You got the valet that helped Trump to execute moving these boxes away from the storage room. They had moved boxes to a dance. It was like a theater or something, inside Trump's property. They had like a stage, and because there's curtains, that block the stage. They had these boxes stacked up on the stage. They had the boxes stacked up inside of a bathroom. The bathroom they were literally on the toilet in the bathroom. I mean, you talk about irresponsible. handling of federal documents. It can't be more irresponsible than that. So, excuse me. These are just some of the things that we were reviewing over the past few days. Maggie Haberman and Alan Feuer, writing for the New York Times, says that Trump's lawyer must testify in this documents inquiry. So this Evan Corcoran now is going to be required to testify on the record that he knew that the search warrant was going to be issued, knew that it got issued, knew that the National Archives and Records Administration was going to come to get these documents, knew that people had gone through a lot of changes to convince Trump to give the things up before they had to execute the warrant. He's going to have to speak to that, which means that Trump's deception also gets on the record.
Yeah, well, with that, his self-interest come into play, because at first he wanted to play ball with Trump. But now he realizes that at this point, if he doesn't come clean, he's going to wind up being prosecuted right along with Trump.
Well, that's what's going to happen to Evan Corcoran.
Yeah.
Because if he does, exactly as you said, if he does not testify, does not submit himself for testifying as a witness before the federal panel, he himself is going to wind up, in trouble.
Exactly.
Now, again, if somebody else from a similar level of government issues an order and the order is disrespected, that makes other people say, well, I should disrespect that level of government too. Yeah. If they don't enforce the getting Evan Corcoran to testify before the federal investigation that's being conducted by Jack Smith, if they don't force him to do that, then Smith is not going to be able to get anybody else to testify.
Yeah,
because they're going to say, "What are you going to do if I don't?" If your answer is you're going to do nothing except whine, then they're just going to let you whine and leave it at that. So I wanted to go to something on Ron DeSantis, because I know that he's your default, president. If Trump don't make it, we'll put Ron DeSantis in.
God,
he's the smarter version of Donald Trump. No, he's not. I don't know if he's smarter or not smarter, but he's definitely not a better alternative. Ron DeSantis has shown you that he has no conscience about disrespecting the Constitution, disrespecting people's rights, and so on.
Yeah. He
literally took away the authority that Disney had over the Reedy County, I think they call it, in Florida. The Disney had said, we'll take care of the municipal services in this county on our dime. You don't have to pay any taxes at all for it. We'll take care of the plumbing, the roads, the ditches, pruning the trees, making sure that we have the grounds clear of stuff that could catch fire. We'll police it. We'll do everything. And we'll let you know everything that we're doing. So it'll be completely transparent, with you. That's what they had been doing for 50 years. So the people in Florida didn't even know that there were supposed to be taxes to take care of all this stuff because they never pay any taxes in the Reedy, county district. Well, because I think his name is Iger, the president of Disney, he had said something in response to the DeSantis's "Don't Say Gay," legislation. Right? He had some legislation passed by the Florida legislature saying that you can't teach anything about people being homosexual or gay or whatever the right word is. You can't do that in our schools until a person is like 76 years old. You can't, you can't say that in front of them, and so on. And Iger said, I'm not with that. In my shop, we have, I don't know how many, but we got some homosexual people who work for us. We haven't had any problem. Nobody's molested anybody. Nobody's shot anybody. Nobody's tried to betray anybody. We've been doing this for 50 years. We have no problems. So why would I Why would I sign on to something that would disrespect, 8 to 10% of the people that work for my company in Florida? Why would I do that?
Right.
And so Ron DeSantis says, you're going to do it because I say you're going to do it. I want to look like I'm the muscle man. I'm even tougher than Donald Trump. And we're going to go back to Ozzie and Harriet, as the way we live in this country. And you're going to stand with me to do this or else. So Iger said, well, let me see what your or else is, because I'm not doing that. And he said, here's the or else. You're using your free speech to act like you have rights. You don't have any rights that Ron DeSantis doesn't say that you have. That's the reality here.
Wow.
They attacked Disney because of what the president of Disney said, not because of anything that he did, but because of what he said. All he said was, I'm not feeling this don't say gay stuff. Right. I have a number of gay people that work in the Disney operation. We've had no problems. And I don't see any reason why I should be disrespecting them.
And I'm assuming that's probably some of his key people, too.
You don't know. I mean, some may be the Mickey Mouse type creatures, and some, they got strange things walking around on Disney and whatnot. I've never been there, so it's not my thing.
Yeah,
right?
probably assortment of got them all around.
But whatever it was, they're not bothering anybody.
Right.
They come to work on time.
Right.
They do their work, correctly.
Right.
Nobody's molesting anybody.
Right.
There's no issues at Disney.
Right.
So why would they want you to attack 8 to 10% of the people that work for the company in Florida?
Right.
Why would Iger be okay with you attacking them? Right. So that's the issue. But that's just his right to speak. It's not like he broke a law. It's just his right to speak.
Right.
Ron DeSantis then did something that you're not supposed to be able to do. They used the apparatus of government to retaliate against Bob Iger, who is the president of a private company, because of what the man said. That just cannot be. If that's not a violation of the First Amendment and the contrast clause in the First Amendment, I don't know what is.
Well, he weaponized the government to take care of his own
that's
self-interest.
Weaponized.
And that right there, to me, that just shows that he's a tyrant in his own right.
Right.
And we can't have that. We can't have that, Mr. Harris.
I mean, because it's what you were saying a minute ago. If you let this stuff slide and you don't do something about it at the beginning, it's going to go from being a tiny, tiny, tiny molehill that you can't even see until it becomes a great big mountain that you got to go pray that the mountain's going to have some faith that you can move it with, faith the size of a mustard seed, so you can say into the mountain, move out and fly into the sea.
And Mr. Harris,
you really don't want to put yourself in that position.
I don't know. I was thinking earlier, now he has the Stop Woke Act. And to me, the Stop Woke Act in itself is just an act. He wants everybody to be asleep. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's basically what it is, why he puts his initiatives into play.
That's what he means by stop woke.
Yeah, he don't want he don't want nobody to know what's going on.
Go back to sleep.
It's crazy to me.
Be afraid.
Yeah.
Be afraid. Go back to sleep.
Oh my God.
Right. So there's more that we could talk about. We don't have enough time to talk about it today. But I wanted to hit this last point. Apparently, the only people who have rights in this country are Republicans. This is an article written by Tom Buggiani. Republicans threatened the FBI agent after he showed up with 2 lawyers. Without going through the detail on this, the House Judiciary Committee has this investigation committee going on to investigate the investigation, right? That stupid stuff, right?
Yeah.
So they call this attorney to come in, who works for the agent rather, who works for the FBI, called him in to testify before this investigation committee. When he came, he showed up with 2 attorneys, his personal attorney and an attorney for the Department of Justice. He had his personal attorney because he felt that he was being attacked by the judiciary personally, and if something went bad, he's the one that was going to wind up being threatened with being put in jail. So he wasn't going to leave that up to the civil service attorney. He's going to put that on his own personal attorney.
Okay.
But the FBI is a part of the Justice Department. Their interests are also being challenged, by these Judiciary Committee people. And so he had a lawyer for the Justice Department attend with him. The Judiciary Committee said you can't have both lawyers. You can only have one lawyer. Now, why? They don't give any reason why, but you can't. We say you can only have either the FBI lawyer or your own lawyer, but you can't have both of the lawyers. Now, any other people that you saw in all of these hearings, on the January 6th investigation, people came to testify and they had 5 or 6 lawyers, with them when they went to testify.
Right.
No problem with that. But that's because the Democrats are running that investigation. But when the Republicans were running this investigation, now you only get the lawyers they say you can have.
One lawyer.
One lawyer. I just wanted you to go to Tom Boggioni, 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 Boggioni. First name is Tom. It's in Raw Story. That's the website, Raw Story. It says House Republicans threaten FBI agent after he showed up with 2 lawyers. You'll see the absurdity of what is going on. And for people to keep acting like it's okay, to elect people like this, you are electing the destruction of the democracy in this country. That's what you're electing if you elect people like this, Ron DeSantis. Thank you all for supporting us. We look forward to talking to you all on Wednesday here at Living for the People at 91.3 FM. No more mafia stuff. 91.3 FM, WBNY. We'll see you all then.